Welcome, everybody. My name's Robert. I'll be talking with you. So we'll give it a couple minutes for the folks who are showing up, show up. We'll give it like, I don't know, 2 to 3 minutes. But if you have a question or have a direction you want to walk in, feel free to populate the QA or raise your hand or something in that world and let it be known. If not, I have plenty of things I can talk about and show gladly. Like I said, if you um, have a direction you want me to walk in, let me know. And we'll get started here, like I said, 2 to 3 minutes. But at this point, probably closer to two. Um, I just like to give folks who are kind of getting in a moment to get in. So we'll get started then. Cool. Stuff's already kind of populating. Thank you very much. Cool. So we got a question about reports. We'll start there. And for those of you that are just joining, I see a lot of names are kind of crawling in. Like I said, just my name's Robert. Feel free to kind of populate the QA. And we'll get started and we'll kind of start walking in those directions. Appreciate you taking time out of your day to join today. Happy to be here. Hopefully you are too. So, like I said, we will kind of get this thing moving here in just a few moments. My clock says 12:02 or 12:01 Eastern Standard Time, 12:02 Eastern Standard Time. We'll probably get started at 12:03 on the dot. So in about 60 seconds, we'll get started with the report question, and we'll work our way through some stuff. And hopefully we can all lunch and we can all learn. All right, 12:03. I'm gonna start moving. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. I know you guys have been given the same spiel 100 times if you've been here before about resources, there's QR codes that were on the previous screen, but there is something new here. If you go to events on our website decisions.com/events, we are hosting. By we, I mean I am hosting a like a quick review of the release features and enhancements for Decisions version 9.8. So again, that's under resources, events. Here we are, and you can register. And we are going to be talking and walking our way through. Look, that's me in a former life. But we'll be talking and walking our way through some of that stuff. So that is something to be aware of. But we have questions, so let's work our way in that direction. So the question that we got was, when creating a report that shows a drop-down list to use for search criteria from another report, how to show the selected value in the report. So I'm a little bit, I could use a little bit more insight on how those two things are connected here. So what I'll do is I'll maybe unmute you, or if you don't have the ability to speak right now, Nasir, we can do it over the chat as well, whatever's easiest for you. So we have, again, feel free to provide some clarity for me, but we have a report. You have your 3 sections up top. The middle one is going to be your filters.
Yeah, actually, we do have a page that
It's a
has
page.
page.
Okay, so a page and has 2 reports on it.
Yeah, one tab is a search criteria for that report on top of it.
Is that a form tile or is that a runtime selectable filter?
Form.
It's a form up top. Okay.
Yeah, and then on the bottom is the report.
Okay.
So on the top is the search criteria for that report.
Okay.
So the search criteria on top has a drop-down list where you choose a value. like from 3 values. And depending on that value, you're going to show in the report itself. So in the
Sure.
so in the report, we have a SQL that get data from database, and that specific value we're looking for, it's a static. It's not dynamic. It's just static 3 um, values. But I want
Okay.
to be able to show those or to show the value selected in the report when I open it up, when I search for it. So I have a flow that does pass the value.
It's just one report, right? Form
Yeah,
tile and one report.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So this is a form that is just has a drop down list in it. And the flow attached to it.
And the flow you're talking about is like either the input or output flow, right? Not a flow in here, or you're talking about active form flow.
Yeah, it's just to pass in the data.
Okay. These are strings.
Yeah. Say value 1, 2, 3.
I thought you were getting it from somewhere. Can I make
Um,
them as a constant, or you
oh,
static?
yeah, that's what I'm not clear. I wanted to when you select them, I wanted to show in that form in that report. But yeah, I tried static.
All right. So let's do a little bit of a build out here. I think we can figure something out here. I do want to start here. I'm just going to make a new one just so we have some data. Let's create a new one real quick. New report. Simple. Just because I know that I have some accounts on here. I think I do. So let's go with. All right. So we have a report down here, and on our form tile, we're going to want a drop down list that will allow us to select a field from here and show only those records.
Yeah.
Okay. I will gladly build this out for you. I'd love to, and I will. But I just want to go ahead and send this to you just while my brain is on it. I did just on Friday of last week make a video on form tiles and like how to do stuff like this. So I'll send this to you in the chat just so everybody can have it. I did just make it, like I said, I've had it done for a while, but I posted it last Friday. And it does walk through a similar build to this. So this is actually should be right up my pipeline. But again, on here we have some example uses to kind of see how filtering a report using a form tile. It kind of walks through how to use that page context aware capacity to make a radio button list. And this is a little more advanced, but so that if you see on here, as we click, it'll filter out, and that's just a form tile on the right as well.
Oh, okay.
But that's something close to what you want, right?
Uh,
Oh, the drop down list essentially.
yeah, yeah. Drop down is
Yeah, cool.
plus
All right,
that form on top. Pass. There is a flow that passing the data to
right.
it, but that's fine. I mean, we can try
Yeah,
this
edit
out.
the input flow. So in here, I could say, and then whenever you add an input to your form, it will show up on the right side. So I added this called inputs list of string for the
Right,
drop
right.
down. Cool, cool. So depending on how you're getting your data here, right? I know you said you had a SQL query and stuff like
Some
that,
kind of
but
yeah.
we can just pretend that we're just doing it this way and we're getting a list here. From here, inputs, flow data, entity results, and I'll do all email address. This is for like a what do they call it? Like pre-filling or like auto-populating one by default. I think I can just ignore it for now. Let's go ahead and see what we're working with in the moment. It's not going to do anything just yet, but I want to go ahead and just kind of set up some of the framework here. Oh, wrong folder. Create folder, dashboard. Right click, add a page, pick a page, linked report, love it. Boom. Click off, click on. All right, so are we getting anything here? Nice. Okay, so we're getting that data. And I'm going to adjust some of this stuff kind of as we go. Perfect. Let's see what we're working with here. I have to resize this. Obviously, this is not what we want. But you essentially want to be able to click on one of these fields and then it show you only those that have that match that section.
Yeah. I think the way you do it is it's gonna work. Um, the only main difference I'm seeing is that form on top
Hmm.
is getting the data from flow.
Right.
So I don't see the selected item in it when we click on that drop down.
So when you click here, you don't have selected item.
Yeah, I don't have selected item. It's just data. Let me see.
What is the format here?
Uh, I'm sorry. What's the question?
What is the like right here? You see how it says list of string. What is the type of data that it's expecting? Your form is expecting. So you could also probably navigate to here and say what type are we expecting?
It is a string.
It's a string. Okay. And you have your list input source as a data name or as flow?
Oh, as data name.
Data name. Okay. And then you have your data name as what right here? Selected. What does this part say?
List item data name. Oh, it has to be input.
No, it doesn't have to be anything. What does yours say?
Just the name. I'm not sure what did I have here. Um, let me check.
Yeah. Yeah, because the selected inputs is going to be your output. So I call this like output data kind of thing. That's your output data.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I think it's more complicated than that. And I didn't do it. Somebody else did. So I'm trying to.
oh, I get it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's complicated.
on top is a flow run part. That's what it is.
This thing is a flow run part,
Yeah, it's not just a report.
not a form
Button.
tile.
Yeah, it's a flow run part.
I think it's
And
just,
when I edit that,
and
I
then you run a flow here, and then this flow does what? It loads a form.
it's a form. Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend going with form tile if that's your methodology. I don't mind working on this a little bit, but the form tile is going to give you much easier control. The thing about the form tiles is it has this page context aware capacity, so that um, when you get into your output flow here, so it can be a little bit confusing. So I'll try and draw it out real quick. But essentially, with your current project, your current iteration, you have a report, you have a run flow part, and you're trying to send the data over here
Yeah.
using just this one flow. The thing about the form tiles that's convenient is when you make it and you have a form tile on top, it actually gives you an input flow. You place your form, and then an output flow is your form, really small in the middle, so that you can translate that data and it will be page context aware, and you can use something like set report dashboard parameters. Um, and you'll be given more options. Um, if we're using a run flow part, which I think we should be able to do the same thing, we'll have to just test it. So like if I use run flow part, I could say, okay, pick or create flow ID. I'll have to make a new flow because I don't have one. Oh, I hit pick existing, didn't I? Create new flow. We'll call this form flow or something, Um, and in here, so you're saying it essentially pick or create form. The inside of this run flow part kind of looks like
Yeah,
this.
that is a form, and you
Yeah.
pass in the parameter to it.
I pick the field here that I want. All right, let's see how this looks and feels now. We kind of have this part set up. Okay, so there we're working similar there. Okay, let me just kind of clean some of this up real quick. All right, so what you're
Okay.
going to want to do, I think, is on your report, you're going to
Uh,
want to add a filter for the field itself. So me, I'm going to use email address because that's the field that I want to go by.
yeah, I have that set up. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we'll just go with equals just for simplicity. Show all when data, right here, this show all
Yeah,
option when
that's
data failure.
selected. Yeah.
Cool.
And from other from
Give value from other
extract from the
reports.
other reports. Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to give you a filter name up here.
Right.
You want to remember this. So I'm going to do EAE, email address equals, just so I don't have to type out something crazy long.
Okay.
EAE is what I set up for that one. Um, and then we're going to try this set report dashboard parameters and see if this works for us. Set report dashboard parameters. The report parameters again is EAE, right? I believe so. Email address equals, it is a string, right? Now that I've added that, I can take this from flow and say, okay, well, what am I getting out of my form? That's called this output data. How do I know that? I click here and go, oh, my output is called output data, right there. And the folder ID here is going to be a little bit of a spot, but it is the folder ID of the page itself. So if I go over here, I should be able to select this folder ID right there. Um, Control C, just because this is the page that it kind of lives on.
Right.
Go back to my page, go back in here. Hopefully this works. Boom, boom. Make this a constant. Hopefully we can paste this in. Nice. Now we might have to send some refresh event type stuff. Not too sure on the full, because I'm used to the form tile, but yeah, it's not sending it. Oh, and I got to hit submit. That's why. So, okay, so it does work. Okay. So that does work. Let me backtrack a second to make sure I'm aligned with you. Is this close to the functionality you want where you
Yeah.
can select something
Yeah.
and then come
Yeah.
here and hit filter? Okay.
Only
Um,
the setting in that form. What was it? If you go back
mhm. To the form?
to the new the flow. I'm sorry, run flow.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
what
Go
I
ahead.
might recommend is, let's say you don't want, do you want the user to hit a button to filter it, or every time they click a new name on the dropdown, it automatically filters?
Uh, when they click on the drop down.
Okay. So then what I would recommend is taking this. I think I might even be able to get rid of this, but taking this, putting an active form flow on here, this allows you to say, hey, every time this combo box selection is changed, every single time, change report filter or something like that. Every time this filter is changed, what do I want to do? I want to do that same parameters, set report dashboard parameters, set dashboard report parameters. This one's called email address equals. This is from flow data this time. Form data, combo box, selected item. So you say, hey, whatever the selected item is, and go that way. So again, it's kind of a similar process, but rather than getting the form as getting that selected item as output data, we're getting it from the form data while it's still live. And in active form flow, every time you change the selection, it should
Okay.
change the name of this combo box. So let's see if this works closer for you. There's guest. There's admin.
Okay. Yeah, that would work.
Perfect. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
That's it.
Or-
Thank you.
All
That
right,
was
no
it.
problem. Thank you, Mr. Aaron. I appreciate the question. Thank you for everybody for your patience. We're learning something. All right, so the next question we're talking about buttons on pop-ups and debugging post-REST service methods. And then we have another question from Alexander. So I will go ahead and start doing some kind of unmuting. I don't know if I don't think your first ask, Gunjan, is gonna Gunjan, I do have you unmuted, so if you want to fill us in, I don't believe with a pop-up you're able to mess with the pop-up functionality, but there might be something similar, depends on what your use case is, that could work. Um,
Mhm.
so you essentially want what do you want those buttons to perform on the pop-up?
Either confirm the pop-up or
Hmm.
deny or like cancel.
Okay.
So like, are you sure you want to confirm adding this thing and then yes or no?
Okay. Pick create form, pick existing. Let's just go with this. Sure. So yeah, with your show pop-up, you're really not going to get a lot of options here. It really just
Mm-hmm.
kind of proceeds, and it's designed to kind of pop up and move on.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real way to add those outcome paths that say you want to confirm something.
Okay.
Other options would be something in the world of, I always do that. Something in this world. The more of these, create a new.
Okay, what's the difference between an end form and a normal form?
Um, that is a good question. An end form is going to be primarily for showing confirmation messages. It doesn't have
Okay.
all of the full functionality as you can kind of see over here, but it's going to be slightly more performant. It's usually just kind of used for end form. And then another thing to note about an end form is that it changes the context in which the system identifies who is running the flow to the system itself. So traditionally, when you run a flow and you run a form, in flow data, the current user will say like robert.grauerphysicians.com or my name. Once it
Mm-hmm.
hits an end form, moving forward, post that inflow data, the user context is the system. It says system. So it gives you like a little more wiggle room or a little more stuff with permissions so that you have a system, you're in a system context. But I might recommend, yeah, like trying to just maybe do a normal form or an end form. You just got to pay attention to the context in which you want the users to know. Um, But yeah, if you wanted multiple paths out of it, you're probably better off just making a really small form. Um, pick a create form, and you can make it tiny, make it look kind of like a pop-up, like I keep doing that. Pick a create new form, custom pop-up. And the only thing to consider is it will kind of until they make a decision here, but you can make this thing teeny tiny, kind of get rid of
Mm-hmm.
some of this formatting and add
Mm-hmm.
multiple buttons. As we add these buttons, path path two, path one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Label, you know, please confirm, right?
Mm.
The advantage of the form is it's going to give you like very clear paths about what happens. So say, oh, something's got to go back. We got to go back to this. Otherwise, we can move forward.
Okay, that makes sense. I
Okay.
can implement a form. And then the next question was, I do have a post REST service method that I'm trying to trigger, but it's not really posting the data to the external database. So is there a way we can debug that? I can also share my screen because that's already built out.
Yeah, so we can definitely talk and walk our way through it. Just because we post this, because we post these to YouTube, kind of automatically,
Oh,
we don't have the ability for you guys to share because then you might accidentally reveal some. You know, we don't want you to click past something and accidentally show your customer information or credit card information or
hmm
who knows what or picture, you know, that you're not
hmm
supposed to have on, you know, on the public YouTube channel. But we can work our way through it. Gregory already sent me something on this: service methods, breed ID, test ID. What can you fill me in on some of the gaps there, Gregory, on
Yeah,
maybe what I'm missing?
absolutely. So, just to make sure that we understand the ask here, you're trying to create a REST service method and you want a way to debug it to confirm it works, right?
Right, because it's a post method,
Mm-hmm.
and after it executes, it should write a value to our database, the external DB, but it's not. And I'm
Not
also
writing
trying,
value.
yeah.
Okay. There are a few things that could be causing that, but let me show you how to test that at the very least. So yeah, we're
Okay.
going to go to external services.
hmm
We're going to add a REST service. This one's just going to be a get to show the functionality real quick.
So the get works. I do have a get service.
Right.
I do have a service from which there is a get method, just the post is not working.
The post is not posting out results to the database as you are
Right.
intending it to, right?
Right.
Okay. There are a few things that could be causing that.
hmm
Can we run this get method real here just so I can get to the
Yeah,
methods part and show? Yeah, so
sure.
can you use the same service URL that I posted in the chat as before? And not the breed. Drop the method from that. Yeah, just all the way perfect. And then that's all good. That's all we need for that. Save it. Add a method. Okay. And then URL, add that method. Now here's where
With these spaces or without them?
without the spaces, just actually no, it does I don't want to say method. I just want to start breeds. Yeah, there we go. All right. So this allows you a way, get or post. The changes to a post call real quick. We're not going to save as a post call, but just so that we can demonstrate this functionality here. So content type, click on that, and that should be, yeah, JSON or whatever you're going to use, but just do JSON for simplicity at this point. All right. You get a request body format, right? That's what you're going to pass into your tests. Hit
hmm
get string from flow. Step out, protect. Okay, and then show advanced options. Scroll down a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. All right, hit OK. Hit OK on this. This isn't going to work, but right click it and there's a test button. As soon as you do that, you would hit test method, and
hmm
then when you click that, you specify the, yeah, click on that, please. You specify the request body of what you're trying to put in there. And then, and here we had a variable, right? So we were passing in the ID there to be able
hmm
to do that. This is an excellent way to test whether or not your requests work without having to go into the flow, build it out, you know,
mm
run it. One thing I would check if you're having issues with data being uploaded is if you're posting this to your external API or some sort of external database, that the service account running your decision server has permissions to alter that database.
Okay, that's a really good point. I
Yeah,
will do
I
that.
don't know if you installed it on the local system account, which is usually the default option if people aren't thinking about it and just running the installer. It will usually be the local system account. But there really isn't a way to make sure that local system account has access to that external API unless it's on the same server. So you may have to change which service account is running decisions if that's the case.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, the quickest way, in my opinion, to do that would be to rerun the installer this with the same version of decisions that you installed. Check the little box that says update settings on upgrade, and then when it asks for the service account, you'll want to check that box there. There will be a box before that section that says show service settings, and you need to check that so that that comes up in the installer.
Okay.
But yeah, just do that. Update it. Possibly a system restart, service restart. I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, do that. Make sure that that account has the appropriate permissions, and then yeah, that would probably be the best approach for that. I would recommend a ticket with support at decisions.com just to make sure that everything's running properly. But yeah, change settings and update. Hit update on that. Except if you wish, show service settings. That little box needs to be checked. And then when you hit next, the very first thing that will come up will be those service settings, and it's on local system account here. You'd have to specify that service account, right? And when you click on that, if you don't mind clicking on that real quick, we're not going to go any farther with
Next. Oh, specify account, sorry.
Yep. Yep. You specify the username and password of the service account running Decisions. Decisions does not make this account for you. Make sure that you or your IT ops team has that account ready that has those database permissions.
Okay.
All right.
That sounds good.
But yeah, that's what I would check first. We're
Okay.
good to exit out of this. No
Thank
need
you.
to run this installer.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No,
There was
anytime.
another question that I had. Um, I didn't put it in the chat, but the question was, how do we access the value from the data repeater to be passed into the post method? I have a data repeater component.
Let's see here. And I will, Alexander, we'll answer yours. As of right now, it looks like for Alexander's question, and I'm going to dive into it a little deeper. I will do this as well. But Alexander, it doesn't look like there's currently a way to schedule that maintenance mode automatically. It's done by toggling at maintenance mode dashboard or editing the settings XML. But as of right now, according to my quick look at documentation, which we'll deep dive it here in a second, it doesn't look like it's possible, but just so Alexander got some stuff. So we're doing a data repeater, you said?
Yes.
And you're trying to get output data of it? Is that right? You're trying to get
Sorry.
you're trying to get
Yeah.
data out, like is that the ask kind of?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
From the data repeater. Yep.
I don't know if I do have I always do that. I always do this every single time. Where do I set the type here? Data name, input type. Put a button on there. It's clear these validations. I'm trying to remember. Is it in here? Oh yeah, it is in here. Input type. We're going with account, just because I always have something populated. Just installed 9.8, so I don't really have anything on here yet. Data, repeater, stuff. Now we have that. It'll give us a better option here. Make sure we got this right. Account. No active form flows and that stuff. First one's email address. Second one will be created on date. It's giving me a warning about some date time type stuff. Just see if it loads. All right, so we have a data repeater.
Mhm.
All right. So what data from the data repeater are you trying to output? Single fields, the whole structure itself?
Oh, single field. So I have some IDs, and then once the user clicks the add button, there would be a new box, a data repeater box. It looks like, and then the user enters the value, and that's the value I'm trying to post. Or sorry, removes a value, not add.
I'm not sure. Greg, is that functionality available with data repeaters to pass out only changed value?
Only change.
So I have a data repeater and I add or delete. Is there a way to easily parse out what was just added or deleted? I don't think so. I keep an eye.
I can't. So let me make sure I understand the ask. So what you're trying to do is if you add a new item to the data repeater or remove an item from the data repeater,
Mm-hmm.
then you want only that value or those set of values to be output from the form.
Right.
Let's see.
It would probably involve logic post the form, a comparative logic. That'd be my initial. I don't think there's a functionality for outputting just changes. Because
Yeah,
all we're outputting is just the data in totality. So you'd
yeah,
have to do some type of comparative.
if you removed an account, it would
Mm-hmm.
probably, that input type on the output type would probably capture just the ones except the removed one. You see on the input type there on the outputs?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would probably pass out all of them except the ones that you deleted. But if you added new ones and you only want the new ones you added, you will need a filter. You're going to need some sort of rule collection filter or something after that form to determine which of those were newly added compared to the entities that were fetched.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how would we capture the removed one again? The
The
input
removed one
type.
would, the input type, yeah, well, oh, do you want the one that was removed? You want to know
Mm-hmm.
which one?
Yep.
Oh, probably another rule collection filter, honestly, because what would happen is you would run all of your fetch entities through the rule collection filter, right?
Well, you could run a not matches. You could say if entity results, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
List contains.
Probably just want to pass in a singular field instead of the whole entity results.
True.
Yeah. So
Dang it.
entity, hit entity, that's it.
Yeah.
And then go back one, entity, and then pick a particular field like email address, something that they'll all have, or ID. ID is actually best. Account ID, very, very top, account ID. Keep going. There we go. Click that. There we go. Now you compare it and say like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, is this account ID in the original list that I'm gonna pass in, like in list, and then your all of your entity results, right? Account ID, all account
Mm-hmm.
ID. And then you can have logic there says, okay, if it is in the list, like it already existed, I don't want that one. If
Mm.
it is not in the list, right, then that's the one that I want.
Mm.
And you can do the same sort of logic, just reversed, for which ones were deleted. You can run them through both, and then you have your two separate outputs there that capture each of those changes. And then if you wanted to just combine them, you could do like add item to list, add items to list. There are many ways that you could utilize that data after that.
Okay, that sounds good. Is there any way I'll have access to this to this call after
Yeah.
the? Okay.
Yeah, it goes on YouTube today, so it'll be on YouTube on our channel. The easiest way to find it is if you go to YouTube, and you just type in decisions lunch and learn. So you go decisions lunch and learn. And I got this from Alexander, who's in here. Fastest way. You can find one of ours and then go to our channel, and we post them every day. So as you kind of see here, we have, the last bunch of days. They all look like this based on date.
Okay.
And they'll be time stamped based on your question. So when you go into one, you can go right to your question.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much. This was
Yep.
really helpful.
Yeah, I appreciate the questions. So then the next question we had was from Alexander Stewart. Is there a way to have maintenance mode on a schedule so we don't have to manually do it? Currently, we do not have a built-in feature to schedule maintenance mode automatically, unless there's some cheeky workaround. But I kind of parsed our documentation, and it does say it directly that there's no built-in feature to schedule maintenance mode automatically. It can be toggled manually through maintenance dashboard or editing the settings XML file. So there is nothing on that. I will kind of unmute you, Alexander, to make sure we're all lined up. Is that the question that you had?
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
You said I can edit an XML file to change it as well?
It's well, according to the documentation site, yeah, you can. According to the documentation, yeah, you can edit the settings XML to toggle it on, but I'm not sure exactly how that works. Maybe Gregory just did settings XML file. Do you know anything about the maintenance mode via settings XML?
Yeah, you're changing the what is it called? I'm pulling it up just to confirm right here, but you're changing something in the settings XML file that I believe is called I think it's server type. Let me check that real quick. Where is it?
Robert,
Gregory, hey, what's up?
you would want to look in the call internal services. There is a maintenance mode service.
Ooh, thank you.
So I
Thank
think you
Jeremy.
can actually turn it on in a flow from that step.
Okay, I was gonna say like it feels like something that should just be there, like it's a true or false, right? On off, right?
Yeah, it's probably something you want to be careful with because obviously you don't want to turn on maintenance mode on your production servers at the wrong times. But
Yes.
so obviously just disclaimer, be careful with it. But yeah, you can
Oh,
enter
yeah,
maintenance
he's right.
mode from there.
Oh, okay. Documentation was wrong, or they just hit it.
Actually, I was gonna say I don't know the safety or practices revolving around that step. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's 100% something you have to be very careful of.
And there's
if
no
you use it.
documentation on this step on how to use it, or
Most of our internal decision server steps, there's not. Even with this, there's literally no inputs. It's just you just do the thing. Like there's
Okay.
not much to document here. Like I don't get any input variables. It's just enter and exit.
the reason why that would be is because it's using services that are native to Decisions itself, the same very services that the Decisions server runs on. That's the cool part about Decisions. Decisions runs on Decisions. But that also means that some of these services were never intended to be used as flow steps, which could have unintended consequences for using them. That's why not all of them are documented.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll take a look at this one. I mean, seems pretty straightforward. Enter maintenance mode, exit maintenance mode. Seems straightforward. And I could just like make them each their own individual thing that can run. Like, I'll time one for enter and then I'll time one for exit and I'll just set those on a timer, right? I mean,
Yeah, I
we
mean,
Possibly. I don't want to say yes or no without consulting the devs on this, if I can be honest.
yeah, I would
Fair
also
enough.
maybe submit us. Yes, maybe submit some more tickets and see if there's something that we're missing, and they can ask the devs. I mean, we can ask the devs as well. I don't mind doing that, but just I would be careful with like as Jeremy and Gregory alluded. I would just kind of be, you know, pretty rigid in your design of I wouldn't try to make it too flexible. I would try and make it pretty simple.
Definitely. I'm planning just to like, I'm even planning to keep it in two different flows, one for start, one for end, and then just time that one for start and then time the other one for end. That way it's like not doing a lot of, yes, no's. It's just run this,
Sure.
run this. But yeah, where'd you go to get that again? Integrations or?
Yeah, so it's integration, internal services, call internal decision service. It's where we hide a lot of the stuff that just like, again, runs decisions in the background. So under all steps, again, yours is probably organized different because I'm on 9.8, but somewhere you'll see integration, then you'll see internal services.
Cool. I will test this in dev and then hopefully not break anything.
Cool. All right, I think we got one more question. I see a hand raised. Nasir, I know we talked this morning. I'll unmute you and see if we can get you any closer to what your ask was. So Nasir, whenever you're ready, I think, or was that today? That was already today. I'm getting my morning and afternoon mixed up. Do you have another question, Nasir, or is it just the hands up from earlier? I think the hand was just up from earlier. Okay. Any final questions? We ran about 46 minutes here. I do want to kind of get this thing uploaded so that the people that need to see it can see it. Is there any other clarifying questions we can provide? And I'm super appreciative to all you guys for joining, as well as Greg and Jeremy for the assist there. That was insightful. And even I did some learning today, which is the best kind of lunch and learn for me. So if we don't have any final questions, I think I'm going to go ahead and close it out. I appreciate you guys all for joining, and we will see you guys back again tomorrow. Thank you very much.